How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is our review, completely spoiler-free, of Oppenheimer. Just Oppenheimer. No colon, no sequel, nothing. It's just Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer 2. Revenge
of Robert. I really enjoyed this movie. I think you're higher on it than I am.
Oh, I disagree with that.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe so.
Let's get into it.
All right.
A little background on us and Nolan. You're a huge Nolan head.
I really like Nolan. Yeah.
I appreciate Nolan. I think he's great until the end of his movies. Don't think he can end a movie. Stay tuned to see if he can end this one. Go ahead, Pratik. What'd you think?
I'll say this. The movie is 3 hours long.
Oof, and it feels like it.
It feels like it. And it's... I feel like that's a terrible way to start out a review, because there's
especially when you liked the movie.
Yeah, especially when you like the movie, but like that's still my number one takeaway out of all of it is it's long.
I'll disagree. It felt like 4. It felt like 4 hours. Like, we get to a point where I'm like, oh man, we gotta be wrapping up soon. I look at my watch, I'm like, we still have at least an hour left of this movie. I'm like, wow. Just like, not to say that I wasn't enjoying what was happening. The movie's constantly going, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has a good pace to it. I'll say this: the movie's paced well. Structurally, I didn't feel like the movie was put together as well as it could have been.
I think so. The movie is kind of set. There's two government hearings that it kind of bounces back and forth, and in the government hearings, as characters talk about things that happened, it kind of flashes back to those points. Mm-hmm. So we get to see Oppenheimer's life kind of through this lens.
Yeah.
But me personally, I think the movie kind of loses some of the pop the longer we go inside of a scene, if that makes sense.
We were talking about this off camera, but you think of this about a lot of movies, that they should just be shows. This really could have been a miniseries, like on HBO or something. I mean, Nolan probably would never do something like that, but
no,
like,
he wouldn't.
I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking to myself, like, there's so much in here. It's all good, but like by the time you get to the third act, and the third act is maybe the best act of the movie.
I enjoyed the third act a lot.
I really enjoyed the first act. I enjoyed the second act. The third act is great, but like you get to the third act, you're like, oh man, it's a little late for all of this. I feel like maybe we could have gotten here earlier, but like I wouldn't cut out anything necessarily, which is why I feel like make this a TV series.
I think it's because going into it, you kind of expect the climax of this movie to be the
explosion.
Sure. The testing. Yeah. And there's so much more to the story beyond that point. But I think in I don't know whether this is the fault of the marketing or if it's just this is what we know about Oppenheimer, and so that's kind of what we assume that this is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting it necessarily to like end with the explosion. I mean, not to give away like where the movie ends or when the movie ends. I don't even know if I could tell you. I don't even know what I could tell you. But like, by the time it ended, I was like, okay, I love the conclusion of this movie. I liked pretty much all of the characters. Just like, Nolan doesn't really handle his female characters well.
Sure.
And this movie is no exception.
Yeah. But
and like he's clearly heard the criticisms about not having a strong ending, and he was like, I'm going to end this really well. But it's just like you ended it, and it's like you could have ended it in like 5 other spots, and you could have made 5 different movies out of this. So like I don't know.
It's a disagreement we're going to have. I thought it ended well. Again, without spoiling the last scene, I thought that last scene was really really well done. Really fit the character really, really well.
Sure.
Just like I'm specifically like that last shot and the last thing we see.
I mean, we should talk about the character.
Sure.
I mean, he's a real person, but Oppenheimer. We got Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Incredible, right? I thought he was incredible. Probably going to get an
Absolutely.
Oscar nomination for him. Probably going to get an Oscar nomination for Robert Downey Jr.
If not, he deserved it. I was saying as we were driving over from the theater, I think this might be my favorite Robert Downey Jr. performance since Iron Man.
Yeah, which I mean, I think
the first one.
I think he's delivered some good performances throughout the MCU, and you know, I didn't see Doolittle. I haven't seen The Judge. I don't think.
We can quibble about it.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's a really, really strong performance, and I think he's
given a lot to do. Sorry, go on.
He is given a lot to do, but I also think whenever he's on screen, just the presence that he brings kind of instantly makes you pay attention.
You're engaged more once he's on screen. You're like, okay, good.
Yeah, you're absolutely engaged.
Speaking of like his gaggle of people, I thought what the hell is his name? Alden. What's his name? He was Han Solo. Alden Ehrenreich, right? Wasn't he? But he was in this as like Robert Downey Jr.'s like.
Oh yeah.
What's his name? Confidant, I guess. I don't know what his name was. We'll put this in post. But
thanks.
But he was great. I don't know. I don't really want to get into too many of my gripes because I think I've pretty much flushed them out already. Like,
yeah, I think the biggest gripe of the movie is the pacing and how long it is. And I don't even want to say necessarily the pacing.
It's the structure of this movie. I feel like
it just feels long. It just feels long.
It feels long.
And again, it feels terrible to say because there's so many great performances in it. There's so many great moments.
If I had to say one other gripe with it, it's just that I felt like the writing was pretty underwhelming as far as the dialogue, even for Nolan. Like you got like 10 smart geniuses in a room and they're all talking very fast, sure, but just because you're talking very fast doesn't mean you're writing like Aaron Sorkin. You need to have wittiness. They need to have some sort of charm. And I get it if you want to be like, oh, it's supposed to be real life and like this is how they really were, but like it's a movie, man. Okay? It's a movie. Speaking of, on the positive side, someone clearly showed Nolan how to do ADR because ADR in this movie is much better than any other movie. Do you disagree? In this movie, like you could literally understand everything. I'm not going to need to put subtitles on next time I watch this. I feel like
that's really just a problem with Tenet.
The Tenet, The Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, the first one. Dude,
I've never had a problem.
Inception is terribly sound mixed.
Interstellar
has one of the worst sound mixes ever.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. We'll go on.
You brought this up just so you could hate on Nolan. I know what this is. I know what you're doing.
Nolan can't sound mix, and in this, I was giving him a compliment, David. I'm saying he did a good job in this.
You gave him a compliment by saying someone else did it.
Yeah, someone clearly helped him. Somebody clearly put the training wheels on. I was like, let me show you how to do this.
You're such a hater. You're such a hater.
I'm about to give this movie probably a higher score.
You probably are, but
that being said, this movie is borderline a masterpiece for most of it. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how rewatchable this movie is. I don't know that I'm ever gonna just be like, let me throw this on unless I'm like, I don't know, like just in the background, I guess. But even if that's the case, like, do you feel like there was like standout scenes for you that you'd be like, oh, like if someone's watching this, I gotta stay for this scene? There's
a handful of really good scenes. I don't know if they're standout scenes on their own. They stand out in the context of the movie.
Yeah, they stand out as like, oh, that puzzle piece really makes this puzzle fit. Yeah.
The one scene I'm thinking of specifically is when Oppenheimer is announcing to everyone about the bombs being dropped. And the scene that happens immediately after that is just incredible.
That was cool. That was good.
But again, it's not a scene where like if this was on TV and you're walking by where you stop to watch that scene, because outside the context of the movie, it doesn't really make it's not blowing you away.
All right, I've heard some critics describe this as a horror movie. Would you say that?
It's
I'm gonna say no.
I guess it depends on what you mean by horror movie. I would say like to the average person, no, it's not. But when it comes to like if you're one of those people that's really introspective and thinking about like what humanity is capable of, I can see how you take it that way.
It's more introspective, like philosophically dark than.
I mean, it's a movie about the guy who made the deadliest weapon that we have.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'll also say this. I don't know if you felt this way, but I kind of felt myself thinking like, this is kind of like inspiring. Like just the fact that like one person can do it all, I guess, like because there's many points in the movie where
now it's a horror movie. Now after that,
there's many points.
It's a horror movie.
There's many points in the movie where they're like, let's just get someone else. It's like, no, Oppenheimer has to be the guy. You know what I mean? And like, and even his wife is telling him like, they're not going to be able to do this without you. You're going to do it, and I know you're going to do it because you're you. And that's kind of inspiring. That's just the fact that like he saw the world for like how he saw it and did what he could that nobody else could have made this atomic bomb, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I felt like that was definitely a part of the movie, right? You don't agree? I'm not agreeing that he should have made the bomb, okay?
I'm just going to go no comment, go from there.
Look, okay. Because, I mean, I don't think this movie is trying to like pose the question of should he have even made the bomb or not. I think it's pretty clear like,
I don't think the movie's trying to pose the question, but you do see him kind of grapple with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
like the movie. That's like the movie. Yeah. You have anything else you want to say before we score this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm thinking 9. I'm thinking 9 on this one. honestly, the only thing that's really hurting for me was the script could have, dialogue-wise, could have been better. The concept is there, but the dialogue could have been better. Structurally, it's kind of, it's not, it's a 3-act structure, but it felt like this should have been like a 5-hour just mini series, or just cut up into like episodes, because it didn't feel like a movie to me as much as I wanted it to. But yeah, good job, Nolan. Like he ended it, and maybe, hey, you might argue it's history. Maybe that's how he had the ending, because it's already happened, so he really couldn't mess up this ending.
Oh my gosh.
But he did a good job. He did enough. He did enough. Jake, what'd you think?
Man. I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. Okay. Like you were saying, it really is a masterpiece. I feel like for as much as we're kind of criticizing it to a certain extent, it's still an excellent film.
Yeah.
It's really, really well done. Technically, it's incredible. The acting performances are all solid. Like you said, it's just the pace. It's just the length. That's really the only thing to complain about.
You really feel the world. You feel the time period. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so incredibly well done. I give it a 9.
Do we know Nolan's next movie?
I don't think so. I was going to ask a different question though.
Sure.
And I think it's the one that's on everyone's mind. So Barbie or Oppenheimer, which one?
Okay. If I was going to rewatch one of these movies, because we've seen both at this point, I would go rewatch Barbie. However, this is clearly I won't say clearly, but this is a better movie than Barbie, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed Barbie more.
Yeah.
I think this is technically the better movie, but I'm rewatching Barbie like 10 times out of 10.
Like your friends come up to you and they're like, "Hey, I want to go see Barbie or I'm Oppenheimer tonight. You want to come down? You want to come?" You're going to be like, "I'll go see Barbie."
I'll go see Barbie.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Even though Oppenheimer was better. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Technically the better movie.
It's a weird one.
I enjoyed Barbie.
Don't see any movies in theaters right now anyway. What are you guys doing? There's a strike going on. Come on.
We're not calling for boycotts.
Yeah, we're not.
Please stop doing that. All right. You want to take us out?
We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we got a movie we're reviewing, something like that.
We'll figure something out.
See you guys.